Hello everybody, and thank you for coming back to the channel. And let me give you a short update on the progress of the Wellington bomber on Balsa. So I don't know if you can tell the difference, but I've been working. I've been putting in the windows. I don't know if you can see these windows. Let's see if I can point to something. So the Wellington had some windows, and these are the windows that I'm putting in, and I've drawn in these lines to make it look like the geodetic build, the geodetic design that Barnes Wallis had designed. Of course, I'm not building the whole thing like that. That would be great, but a lot of work. But at least there it can somehow represent it. I think I'd shown you already the engines and the engine cowlings. I've done some painting to kind of keep it there nice and black. What I've also done, I've tried to build up the front, the forward turret. What I've done for this, because I'm very bad at plastic molding, I've taken the bottom part of a bottle. If you realize bottles nowadays, they're like this, so I've taken, not this one of course, this one is still complete, but I've taken one of those bubbles from the bottom of a bottle, and I've tried to design this this forward turret, this front turret, and I've got also a base of balsa there, so somehow to put it in. I'm now not sure, actually I'm thinking, I still haven't made up my mind. I was thinking initially of making a lower hatch like I done on the Mosquito to put in the battery. I'm now thinking that it might be good actually to make a hole through here and put the battery in from the front. So I don't know, I still have to think about it, and let's see how I figure that out. What else have I done? Yes, I've put in also the upper part of the fuselage formers, as you can see, and I've put also the top spar, let's say, not sure if it's called a spar, but somehow the top part of the fuselage to give it also some consistency, because at some point also probably during this chapter I'll be taking it off the board, so it has to have some consistency. Another thing that I'm doing, which might be a bit of an overkill, I'm trying to design the cockpit. I'm very bad at this because I can't do the plastic vacuum forming that I know some of you do. So I'm going to try to build it up with balsa sticks and see if I can cover somehow the windows. I'm not sure, that's a bit of an experiment, maybe an overkill. I've got also another component here, a very small, it's like 20 by 25 millimeters, so I've got, it's really not so easy, but anyhow. Here in the front I've already got also a spar for the nose of the aircraft, and then eventually what will happen here, I'll put in like 1 millimeter balsa strips and covering it up, also up on the fuselage. There'll be quite long bits, and that will give it the shape. So I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to leave it as it is because I still want to have access to be able to first of all glue the ESC, which is down there, so I'm not going to glue it in yet until I have it off the board, and then also put in the control rods that go to the rear. So that is why I have a structure in place, but I don't have the full covering. The covering will come also on the sides, and then I'll cover it also with some tissue. So that is the progress so far. What I'll be doing now, when I finish this cockpit experiment, which might take me some time, I'll take it off the board and I'll start to do the tail surfaces. There's the stabilizer and then also the rudder. I'll try to do it, and I have to build in there the moving parts because it's in the design, it's designed for fixed, so no movement, but I'll build in there the moving surfaces. So follow me along on this one. It's a bit of everything together, but this is starting to look like what it should. If one knows what it is, one can recognize it. If not, probably not. So the moment has come. I'm going to take some of the bits off. Here is the cockpit that I'm preparing. Looks a bit strange, but a lot of work for, I'm not sure if it's an overkill, as I mentioned. I'll put it aside, I don't want to lose that. And also the front turret, I'm taking it off so I don't lose it. And I'm preparing the rear turret, so that's kind of the same approach that I did with the front turret. And as I say, the moment has come that I'm going to take the model off the plan for the first time. So I have to take off a lot of the pins. Let's see if I can get at them all, because some of them will be inside. Yeah, I think I can get at them. There's something, the rear ones of course, they're holding it back also. Okay, seems to be coming off, and there's one at the front that comes off. So here it is so far. I don't know how much you can see of it. So the structure is in place. As I was mentioning, I still have to put in the longerons on the fuselage, but the wing structure is mostly in place. Still, it's a bit wobbly. I'm not too comfortable with that. It's not too solid, but we'll see. Maybe with a tissue it'll get better. And let's see from the bottom. From the bottom, of course, it's kind of flat, and there's going to be a lot of work to do here, putting the lower part of the formers, the undercarriage. So there's still a lot to do on the fuselage from the lower part also. But now what I'm going to start to do is I'm going to do the tail surfaces. So for that I'm going to have to turn the map around, the plan around, because it's quite far away. So I've got to do the elevator and the stabilizer and the tail fin and the rudder. So that's going to be then the next part. But as I say, I'll turn the plan around for that. So let's see how it goes. But at least good thing is that it kind of holds itself. Oh, I dropped it. It kind of holds its structure. So let's see how many crashes it survives. That'll be another worry. So here I'm with a short update on the progress of the tail surfaces. This is the fin and the rudder, and I built it all together in one piece and then cut it down with cutting off a gap of 3 millimeters so that I could put in then these extra pieces. And then I also sanded them down. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see if it focuses. So then what's needed still here is maybe a bit more sanding to get it nice shaped, and then also put in the hinges. And then this will eventually sit somewhere here. So that's going to be then the tail fin. So that's progressing. Then the next thing is going to be then the stabilizer and the elevator. The challenge that I see coming up now is that how am I going to be able to put in some kind of a rod that goes up through the elevator up to the rudder without interfering with the elevator. So I'll see how I'll do it. Probably some wire bending and things like that will be needed, and I'll see how I do it. It's one of the challenges coming up. Also, as a side note, other things that I'm doing, so I showed you already one of the turrets that I'm cutting out from a bottle, so I'm going to try to cut out the other turret. I've marked it here, so I'm going to see if I can cut out the other plastic turret for the rear part of the fuselage. So, and those are the bases. So those are things that are going on. I'll keep you posted. One of the good things of doing these conversions is that one needs to be a bit flexible, sometimes literally. So as I'm building up the stabilizer, the original plan actually is a go through because it doesn't have movable parts. So I have to build in somehow the moving parts, the moving elevator. So I've built out the frame for the stabilizer with the leading edge and the trailing edges, and I'm also cutting out the ribs slowly. Here we are, very small fiddly bits. These are the smaller ribs, but I've also built in this piece that is not in the original plan, but I need to have some kind of stability of this structure for when I put in the ribs. These ribs are not flat on one side. In some models, the Guillo's models for example, the ribs are all flat on one side, which makes the building much easier, but maybe less realistic, I'm not sure. But these are not so. These are not flat, so I have to build a frame, then lift it off, and then put in the ribs one by one. As I am doing this modification, I need to put in something to hold that leading edge and trailing edge together. So that's why I put that in. Once I have all the ribs cut out, then I'll be doing that, and then I have to also prepare then the spars that will go here, or where the hinges will actually hold the elevator together. So let's see how it goes, but that's part of the fun thing. That's small challenges and overcoming them. So another update on how I'm doing with the tail surfaces. I've put together the elevator, and I've marked, I don't know if you can see it, I've put a thread to mark where I'm going to do the cut. Actually, let's see if it focuses. I've measured them 1.5 millimeter each side to be able to take out that full piece of rib in between, if you can see it, between those lines that I'll cut off, and that will be replaced with these two pieces that I've sanded down. Again, I don't think you can see the details here, but I've sanded it down so that they can somehow like sit on each other and then be able to move, and hopefully it'll be enough movement. I don't know if you can see this. So that's the progress on this. I've also cut out some pieces, let's see if I can focus on this, which will hold the whole elevator assembly onto the rear fuselage. You can't see it, there it is. And I've cut this basically based on the plan, but I am a little bit worried about the angle of incidence of the elevator, of course, or the stabilizer, as that will have an impact. The Mosquito is indeed still tail heavy, so I'm thinking if this is going to have that same tendency or not. It might not, as this was a rubber powered design. The Mosquito was more for the engines, for the heavy engines. I'm going to try to keep the angle of incidence that's on the plan, let's say, as neutral as possible, and then we'll have to balance the center of gravity with weights. But those are kind of the worries that are still in my head at the moment. So now I'm going to go ahead with the cutting, the putting in the pieces, and then hopefully then the next little section will be just the update of the tail feathers, let's say the tail surfaces, completed before I go on to the next step. So I want to try to wrap this video up already because it might be dragging on too long. Here we have the rudder, like the fin and the rudder, and I've put in the hinges, so you see that it moves, and we'll see how that goes on. I haven't glued the hinges in because then I still have to put in the tail wheel assembly and things like that. Then the elevator, so the stabilizer and elevator, maybe some comments, I'm not sure if I mentioned it. I put in the ribs, but they're 1mm instead of 1.5mm. I'm getting a bit more concerned about weight in the back. And what I've done with the elevator itself, it's one piece, but I've put in a reinforcement. I've put some cross-graying pieces of balsa to make sure that it doesn't bend, because on the Mosquito I noticed that when moving maybe one outside of the elevator, the other one didn't move so much, so it was bending. So I've put in there some reinforcement. Yes, it does add weight, but but I need it to be functional. And again, I've put also the hinges in there. I've put in 3 hinges from the beginning, which was a retrofit I did to the Mosquito. So I've got 1 hinge on each side and 1 in the middle also, and that's what it looks like. And I've also put in this piece in here. It's a strange shape. I had to design it because in the original plan, of course, it's not made for it to be a moving part, and I haven't glued it in yet. I just put it in with some masking tape, and that's how it would sit. And then this hopefully will have enough space for it to move up and down, also the elevator. So that is the progress so far. So some visual progress. I'm not gluing anything in yet, but at least something there progressing. I leave it here. The next steps will be putting in the push rods and things like that, so not so visual progress. I'll see then what the next video will be about, but I'm sure to come back with some updates. So thank you everybody for watching. Stay tuned and see you later.